G'day everybody, how are you going today? It is so very good to see you. Please grab yourself a cup of tea. We've got some news to talk about. There continues to be a lot going on in the camera world, and we may as well talk about it. Everybody's doing a little bit of something, even the third-party lens manufacturers. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Nikon, a little bit about Canon, a little bit about Tamron, a little bit about Rode microphones, and a little bit about Sony. I want to open the batting today with the headline article, which is in regards to the Z9, the Nikon Z9. Firstly, rumours. No, these are not rumours. This is information. Something that's really interesting about having a channel like this is once you get out and reach a certain amount of the audience, some of the audience want to come back and talk to you, which I love. That's what it's all about. That's the community. And of course, some of the people out there in the community know more than others about what's going on with camera releases. So I have found myself in the position where I am starting to get people talking to me about information that they have received in regards to the launch of new products. I want to preface this first article by going, well, this information is being passed on to me by third parties and it sounds really realistic, but who knows? So today I'm going to share with you what is being shared with me, the latest information I have on what the Z9 Nikon spec will be. Rumored, I suppose. And I have to say, these specs sound exactly what I think they should. Z9. Okay, if I put all the information that I'm being fed together, this is what the Z9 currently looks like. It's probably going to have a 45 megapixel BSI sensor. Fabulous. That's so exciting. And more than I need for a camera that's replacing the D6. Next, it's going to have no or effectively no EVF blackout. Well, that is certainly what we want to see for a flagship camera, which is all about action. It's going to shoot at 20 frames per second. It's going to have 8K at 30 frames per second, 8K video. And it's going to have 6 stops of 5-axis in body stabilization. Now, this is the information that I know to date. There's a little few extra bits and pieces in all of that. And it all sounds 100% plausible from my perspective. Now, what we know from Nikon is, yes, they might not be first to market. And this is meant as no disrespect to any other camera manufacturer. It's just kind of a fact. They may not be first to market, but they will deliver a product which will do exactly what it says on the box. And I think that's what's going to happen here. We will get 20 frames per second and it will work spectacularly. We will get 8K at 30 frames per second, and like the 8.1, it'll work. That is my expectation based on these rumored specs. Now, interestingly, if we look over here at this screen, this is Nikon's own webpage, the USA Nikon website, and it states an unprecedented imaging experience. Nikon is proud to announce the development of the Z9, the first flagship model for the mirrorless Z mount. Bringing together the most exceptional groundbreaking technologies, the Z9 delivers the best still and video performance in Nikon's history. Highlighting our commitment to the professionals behind the lens, the Z9 is designed to help you create the most compelling images. What this says to me really clearly is the Z9 is going to exceed what the D6, what the D5, what the D500, what the D850 do today. They would all be considered the fastest. This camera is going to exceed all of them. 45 megapixels is on par with the D850, yet it's talking about doing that at 20 frames per second, which is more than twice the speed. So something that we don't have a beat on out of this data is, but I think we can read it from Nikon's own website, is what do we expect the AF performance to be? Because that is the thing that most people are most worried about? Well, Nikon are saying it right here. This will exceed all other Nikon cameras, all other Nikon experiences. I think it's there in black and white. So if we piece together the information we know, the information that I'm being given here, which I think is probably pretty solid, but we all have to take it with a grain of salt because it is not directly from Nikon's own press releases. We know what the Z9 is going to be. A very capable 45 megapixel BSI stacked sensor running at 20 frames per second, giving us 8K at 30 frames per second with potentially 6 stops of 5-axis in-body stabilization with no EVF blackout, and AF, which will surpass any other AF Nikon have made in the past. That is what the Z9 is looking like it will be. I'm very excited about this camera. The other one piece of information that I've received is that it will be $10,700 RRP on release in this country. Now that's only $200 more than the D6 currently is, which basically means wherever you are in the world, it's going to be only slightly more expensive than the current D6. Now that makes sense. It's dropping at the same price point. It's an extraordinarily expensive camera in anyone's book. So of course, this camera has to blow us away.
And finally, the piece of information that people are probably most interested in besides focus speed is when is this camera going to arrive? Well, one person has told me it could be as soon as 2 or 3 months, thus making it for the Olympics, and the other person has told me a little bit later than that. Both are compelling dates, although personally I think before or around the Olympics makes the most sense.
That's my Nikon Z news. I would love in the comments for you to tell me, does this all sound like it could be true? It certainly does to me. Again, I will repeat for the one last time, this is information not directly from a Nikon press release. This is information coming from other sources, so I don't know for sure what it is. So we all have to take it with a grain of salt, but it sounds awfully plausible to me. Let's move on in the news now to Canon. There are rumors about the Canon R3, which is a camera that basically is going to sit in the same sort of space as the Sony A1 and the Nikon Z9. Now, there are no other specs known about this, but there is I'm not sure if it's a leaked official image or whether it's a mock-up image of what the Canon R3 might be. To be announced later this year and perhaps not to be seen until next year. Of course, Canon are doing okay. They've got the R5, which is a very powerful, fast stills camera that shoots okay, so it's not like they are lagging in any way, shape or form. But this is that full professional body shape that we are seeing with the Z9, but we haven't seen Sony create that sort of camera yet. Of course, anything can happen. Also in Canon news, there are a number of patents that exist for various exotic Canon lenses. Now we all know that patents don't necessarily mean that anything will ever come to fruition. It simply means that they are protecting some ideas that they've engineered, come up with, might be deciding to use at a later date. But I just want to quickly read to you some of those exotic lenses. An 8-16 f4, a 9-15 f4, a 9-24 f4, and a 10-18 f4, all in the RF mount. Now these are rather similar lenses, so obviously once Canon has worked out the basics, then it's probably pretty similar between them. I don't know, but they are very similar. Like I said, we may not see any of these lenses, but there is a lens similar to this on Canon's roadmap, which is the 10-24mm f4. So will we see any of these other lenses in the future? Who knows, but they are patented. Also, we're expecting from Canon some of the larger primes like the 600mm and the 400mm, as well as the 100mm 2.8. Next, I'd like to touch on the Pergear card that I've been using for the last couple of months. it has been going fantastically. That's the 512 gigabyte card. Now I use this card literally every single day, and because it is so cavernous, and the largest card that I've had prior to it has been 128 gigabytes, this one 512, I find I don't have to erase anything. I've actually formatted the card once in the 2 or 3 months that I've had it. Now I've wanted to completely fill it up and empty it out to prove that it is actually the size that it is. I also moved a 300 gigabyte Final Cut Pro archive over to the card and put it on there and took it out and then put it back in, just to prove that all that space is there, and yes, it is. So far so good. The Pergear is going very, very well. They've also recently released a card reader, which you can see here, which I'll be doing a review about very soon. But if you are interested in the Pergears, there's a 256 and a 512 gigabyte model available. Please click on the one and only affiliate link that I have so far. It helps the channel, and yes, affiliate links means I get a very small kickback if you do purchase it that way. Of course, you can go through Amazon or any other channel that you so desire. That is completely cool. Just letting you know that that's there, and so far so good with these cards. In further news, it is rumoured that Tamron will have a 150 to 500mm lens out very soon for the Sony E-mount. It's an f5 to 6.7 150 to 500mm lens. Now that's a pretty massive lens. It's a great sort of travel all-rounder, sports, wildlife sort of lens that would work for heaps of people. Now the fact that there's already what looks to be official photographs of this lens online on various sites, I think it pretty much means that it's a fait accompli that this lens is coming, and it's coming very soon. I think we're probably to expect it in the next week or two. Now, because of the nature of the E-mount, it would totally be possible for this lens to be made for both the Canon and the Nikon mounts as well. So, will we see this Tamron lens in those other mounts? Fingers crossed, I hope so. Many camera users like to have a third-party option when it comes to lenses. Also, third parties often make lenses in slightly different configurations and focal lengths and f-stops and so on. So it gives us good alternatives to the OEM possibilities. Exciting to see whether this lens comes to fruition, but I really do think that we will see the Sony E-mount version sometime in April. And finally, I want to talk about a great experience that I've had with Rode. Now, Rode makes microphones. They make the microphone that I'm using right here, right now. There it is, that's it. They make this one here that I'm charging right now. And I've had two of the Rode Wireless Go, just the single version, the Rode Wireless Go. And one of them stopped working around about Christmas time. Oh, I think it was a bit before that. And it's just taken me a really long time to send it in for warranty. Now, the warranty repairs came back like this. Look at that. So my unit was 1.5 years old or something like that, and they've just simply sent me a replacement unit, which is so very cool. Rode on their website, so this is just advice for everybody out there. I don't work for Rode, I buy all my microphones from Rode, but a great warranty experience is something worth talking about and something worth sharing with the community, because you can buy, obviously, microphones from lots of different people. A big shout out to Rode to say it's a great policy, and to have been sent this new unit and I can just keep moving forwards. I don't even have to think about it or worry about it. I want to say thank you, and I really enjoy using the gear. It works. Like, again, this microphone, like the Pergear card, every time I shoot, it's being used. So these things are being used every day or every second day. They are used a lot. Rode, I think it's good, and it's Aussie, so it's good, and it's made in Australia, so it's good. And they've got a great warranty program, so that's good too. Okay, well, that is the news for this week. I thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to talk about the Canon R3, the Nikon Z9, the new lens for the Sony mount from Tamron, or anything in regards to Rode, I would love to chat with you about it in the comments below. Fantastic, so good to see you here today. Look, if it is your first time here, I would love to see you again, so please do subscribe. Please share, please like. If you'd like to see over 300 episodes, you can just look down there and watch them right now. Okay, I will see you very soon. I've been talking, I need some tea. Yes, oh yes. Now, there's a company called T2. They make a brew called Melbourne tea. And here we are, I'm from Melbourne, so I actually think they may be a Melbourne company. They're certainly an Australian company, but they might be a Melbourne company. If you're ever in the mood for some tea and you want to have a bit of a Melbourne vibe, try out the Melbourne breakfast tea. It's my favourite tea in the world to date. Ciao.